I'd like to pick up a few points that people have raised. So, Andrew YS9VP says, what do you expect from right-wingers? Well done, everyone, for voting for them. But then all this is from an ex-UK UKIPper. That's me, I think. Well, I'm hardly an ex-UKIPper, really. I went into UKIP to see if it was racist. It was, and I made a fuss. I've talked about this so often in the past that I think I think there's not really much point in talking about it again. However, I think it would be of use pointing out that when the dust settles on this weekend, with the number of police who've been drafted into London to police the protest, to police the cenotaph area, the expense of that, the expense of managing the freedom to protest, which is a good freedom, which is an important freedom, the freedom to speak is important. I think maybe it's worth reflecting. Could that money have been spent on aid? Could that money have been spent on helping, indeed, even helping people here, helping the homeless? I think one has to be very careful. The price of freedom is high, and the price of freedom gets higher because it's ratcheted up by foolish rhetoric. And today, or this week, what we saw was the person who was most instrumental in ratcheting up that cost, in ratcheting up that price, the price of freedom, was the Home Secretary herself, who is the person who should be calming things down, promoting unity. That was left to the Prime Minister to do, to urge people to be mindful, to urge people to think of other people in society, in our society. I think that we will have to wait and see what comes out about this, but I think we will find that the cost of this weekend will be astronomical. As for Tommy Robinson's participation in this, I've seen the footage of Tommy Robinson negotiating with the police, waiting for the police to let him through to Whitehall so that he could observe the 2-minute silence. I've seen that. And that was without provocation. That was without... In fact, he was calling for silence. The problem is, he is himself emasculated by Suella Braverman's rhetoric. Suella Braverman has whipped the situation up to a frenzy that people like Tommy Robinson, who is really... Who is he? He's a nobody. He becomes an icon for protest. He becomes a beacon for dissent, in much the same way as Suella Braverman becomes a beacon for protest. I notice that she's absent. And, I'm sure Tommy Robinson himself was very mindful of the focus and the cameras on him and so on, and was very respectful of that. But clearly some of his followers who did not have access to the man himself were abusive, were difficult. I don't know whether it was the same followers who were causing the riot and the mess in Chinatown, or indeed were involved in the instance which led to the detention of 100 or so people in Whitehall. But those are the facts. Those are the facts. And I am sure that the blame will be transferred as much as she can from Suella Braverman to Tommy Robinson. Now, as I've said a few times, I'm no great fan of Tommy Robinson, but there's no evidence today that he himself was encouraging anybody to do anything inappropriate. I'm afraid simply being there is provocative now. And that is the work of our Home Secretary. That's not his fault. But, equally I don't think it was his fault that the film was broadcast in America. But the judge expects him to pay the price and go back to prison for it.